She encourages us to be strategic in our actions, to trust our intuition, embrace transformation, and to courageously shed those things, those parts of us that no longer serve us any longer, in order to rise to a higher version of ourselves. Whether it's habits, relationships, old fears, whatever it is that was holding us back, she now encourages us to move forward with grace, confidence, and clarity. Happy Chinese Lunar New Year, the year of the snake. A time of renewal, reflection, and transformation. I'm so excited. I feel like I say that all of the time, but I really am though. I'm absolutely thrilled and ecstatic to have Lonna back on the podcast.
Yes! Happy Bluewood Snake Day!
Oh, it's so good to see you again, Lonna. You said the wood snake
Beautiful,
there.
beautiful.
Did you say the blue wood?
Yes, the blue wood snake. Yeah, last year was the emerald wood dragon, emerald green. This year it's the blue wood, which is more calming and grounding, which is really, really beautiful. It's more of like an energetic of like spring and growth and renewal. And that we definitely need after coming in from last year. So it's actually cyan. It's not even blue. It's like a specifically cyan blue.
Oh, wow.
Which even the name, it sounds tranquil, right?
That's a lovely name for a person, actually, Scion.
Yeah, I agree.
What's your perspective on the transition from the dragon to the snake?
Well, I got lots to talk about here because I feel like what I've been tapping into with people is that obviously there's a lot of chaos in 2024, and it's like, okay, thank God, I'm ready to be done with that year. But we really need to look at it, and people are like, are we past that? And it's yes and no at the same time, because this coming year is like the year of revolution and self-revelation. So the dragon, so we need to look at it in a way of kind of a unity, and also almost like the infinity, they're interconnected, very different energies, but one leads into the next. So dragon essentially came in to burn everything down and kind of plant seeds, and the snake is about harvesting that and transforming. So it really is a continuation of self-healing and self-mastery and integration of new self. So dragon energy is yang, it's masculine energy. And it came in with its fire breath and honestly just burned and cleansed systems, individuals, and communities, essentially of their masks, disguises, reflections, pretty much any self delusions that they had. And it raised up and pulled up all old habits and leftover supports essentially to burn to the ground. And it forced humanity from the mentality of I will deal with it later to dealing with it in the now, because there is no later. It's now. And we can't keep pushing that off. And that's really what dragon energy was bringing in. And it sets everything ablaze. And now dragon's departing, honestly, having torn and burned everything down, but also leaving what is meant to remain. That's really important to note, because we can't burn away everything. There are things that are pillars. There are things that are part of self that we are meant to have, that we are meant to have as our basis, but to work on and grow on that foundation. And they flew off pretty much. What's meant to be rebuilt is not for them. They came to burn things down. So they've now flown off.
Away they go into the
And
sky.
they're still here. Don't get me wrong. Dragon energy is very present. They're creator beings. They're from the original source point, essentially. And we can get into that in another episode, but they really came in to do that, is to burn that down and to really remove the things that were keeping us not really embodied in self. it leaves without creating plans on what's meant to be built in place of that. And that's where snake comes in, because snake is yin, snake is the feminine. And snake is actually really well suited for this energy that we're moving into. It's deliberate, if I'm honest. And also the wood element is very grounding. It allows us to really connect to self, ground into self, and anchor in self. And the
Aquarius
snake is,
energy.
yes, exactly. And it's perfectly timed, really, because snake is very connected to the goddess. The original shamans were serpent energy, and it's creation energy. It really is. It's about spirituality and healing. And even the caduceus that we have in our symbols of healing, it's the staff with the two serpents wrapping around it, which represents the masculine and the feminine balance of a united self. And it's really about going internal, because the elements of snake are, they're very intelligent, they're very introspective, they're seekers, yet they're also cautious, and they're very wise, they're quiet, and they're complex. They have this alluring kind of trance-like hypnotic space to them, because they're internal, because it's like they're a little bit of a mystery. People are like, what's going on below the surface there? And that's really the energy that we need to embody this new year in, because they really embody fertility, and not necessarily in the physicality space of birthing a child, but fertility of what are we seeding? What is it we're growing? How do we want to grow? How are we going to grow and expand and evolve in a world that is crumbling in chaos around us? And that's really the beauty of the snake, because it's about endless cycles and phases of rebirth and renewal, and it plans in great detail. That's the difference. It's planned out and it's seeded, but then there's swift action. It kind of pounces, or it goes after you quickly when it knows where it needs to be. And it's rarely a linear path when it comes to snake. It's really about winding between the obstacles, winding between the chaos and the negativity, and it manifests its best route and options to achieve the success of what it's choosing to learn. So it's not loud, it's not demonstrative, it's not external, it's very, very internal. And this year is wood, grounding, practical, yet also maintaining that creation energetic, that movement. They represent movement. And in 2025 we're going to see a lot of advancements in technology and innovative inventions, new systems and new regimes, and also a lot of financial opportunity, because they do represent abundance and prosperity and wealth in a lot of ways, but not just wealth in the monetary sense, wealth of self, wealth of experience, wealth of people and community around. And it's more pragmatic, less focus on like the quick fix problems. It's more about, how am I going to create a long-term sustainable space for myself where I can continually grow and continually move into these spaces of sitting with self and not really seeking the external kind of energetic. It really encourages us to create a more holistic sense of self from what's transpired from past events, and also crafting wisdom from that experience and what we learned from that experience, that's meant to help navigate our path going forward. So really the focus for this year is laying foundations and clearing away what no longer serves, and also coming to a level of comfort within our the versions of ourselves that remain, honestly, after Dragon's destruction, essentially, which was necessary and pertinent to how we need to move forward. So movement is there when we're stagnant and when we can't create, when we feel blocked, when we feel obstacles to that. And dragon and snake, they're very similar energies in some ways, but also extremely different in others. And that's a perfect balance of the masculine, the yin yang, the masculine feminine element. And it's a creature of transformation and alchemical transmutation. Really, it replaces the old with the new, and the shedding of the skin. Even humans do that, like we flake off our skin and our hair falls off, and I'm like, actually our cells completely reboot and we have new cells every 7 years. So we actually kind of already are going through this natural cycle as well. We just need to tap into that energetic. And it's not about blasting everything away like dragon. It's keeping what is meant to remain, and then building on top of that, strengthening that, like solidifying that. And that's really what we're in this year. It's that constant cycle and phase of death and rebirth and renewal. And that's all throughout life we go through that. But this year there's going to be a lot of like, you're going into it and then you're rebirthing and you're going into it again. It's kind of like the phoenix in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
And we're building from that, and we have to learn how to build in ourselves and stay grounded in that when chaos and everything around us is forcing things to crumble. And that's a necessary part. But with the snake, it's really about blending into the environment. It keeps more to itself. It doesn't attack unless it's threatened. It observes, it watches, it sits in contemplation, and it looks at what is needed for its own path. And the things that it's not needed, it avoids. It moves away, it slithers off, it does its own thing. And that's what we need to embody a little bit more this year, because it creates healthier ways forward in all aspects, really. And in 2025, this is happening on a micro and a macro cosmic level because it's within self, but it's also happening externally. And the things happening externally are amplifying the chaos, amplifying the confusion, and amplifying the potential further trauma if you're really not anchored in self. So, and much has already been put in path, in motion on this path from Dragon, because it's blasted everything away. We're seeing clearly now, but we're also like, I need to build on top of the things that remain. And that's the thing. We're not supposed to just throw the baby out with the bathwater, not to get rid of everything. Everything isn't meant to go because there's certain parts that are meant to be there for us. But we just need to continue to work on and build on that and shed our skin of old self. And there was a lot of elements of that we could see shedding around the holiday time, around the holidays of last year. And there's a lot of people that were really raw and kind of unsure and were unclear as to what to expect and what we're moving into. And also we now have some clarity. We're going to see a little bit more clarity now that the stake is instituted. I think in January there's a lot of like restructuring of things. We can clearly see that with all the planets and everything happening. The 111 portal, which we talked about, and we'll talk a little about solar flares, but not so much today. um, but the new moon, the full moons, like everything is there. And now we're in Aquarius, and Aquarius again is all about forward movement, honoring the progress, and coming together in community. It's not meant to be a time where we are doing it on our own. The work, yes, the work is very internal this year. It's very much going into self, but by doing that, we're also going to call to us the beings and the opportunities and the places that we need to be to align to that higher part of self. So that's what we're going to see in this coming year. And I'm not going to say it's going to be more calm, because it's not, but you have complete control over how that affects you. And that's the main message, is really the self work, how much you're willing to kind of navigate and play with that. I mean, we can't procrastinate anymore. Like, there's a tonal shift in the media, which we can clearly see and feel, and everyone's feeling it. The politics, the weather, it's just a reflection, honestly, of Gaia and what she's going through and what she's expressing. And I'll be honest, the elite power structures and systems, they won't give it up without a fight. They will fight, and that's the chaos that we're feeling. But there is clarity within that, because Dragon pulled a lot of stuff up. Everything's out on the table for us to look at, and we get to choose and we get to decide how we navigate that. And we do this by self mastery. And we need to take our power back. That's really what it is. It's the powers that be are fighting and fighting to maintain the power, but it's an inevitable process that will crumble. And really, it ripples out to the collective when we do the work. And that's the big thing, is do your internal work. Look at the shadows. Be willing to look at your shadows and your secrets and the things that you kind of kept, hidden. And it's really about turning down the noise and going within, and really, really, we can't procrastinate anymore. It really will affect you. And I'm going to be frank, quite negatively if you don't do this. It's kind of like Pluto's coming in, everything's coming in, and it's like, it is the transformer. If we do not die the shaman's death and rebirth ourselves like the serpent is asking us, shed that skin. And it's a constant metamorphosis of that energy. we have to take ownership over our self-healing, and we have to prepare for, the frequency shifts that are coming. And the way to do that is to feed and nourish ourselves with the things that are positive, good foods, good people, not a lot of media. I mean, look where you need to go and look, and so you're not completely off grid, but also choose unbiased sources, because we are constantly being fed, and getting off our phones and just going back to nature and connecting to self is it really is that. And that is really the self revelation, and it's the revolution that's happening. We are in the era of revolution. That's what Aquarius energy is, and it's requiring us to do the work individually so we can show up for the collective, because the work we do on ourselves ripples out. Like, I'm seeing that so evidently, like reflected in my experiences now, just minor shifts happening, opportunities coming where I didn't see a pathway
Mhm.
forward, and I felt stagnancy and I wasn't seeing with clarity, and I had to shift my perspective. I had to step back and be like, what am I not seeing here? And I was like, at one point down on my knees being like, what am I not seeing here? But again, it's like I just was not in that space. I had to alter something and shift something, and I started working with different frequencies and different energies. And then I had new guides start coming in, and I was being shown and gifted beautiful little seeds and nuggets on the journey of where I need to go next. And that's all we need to know. What's the next step? We don't need to plan ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
It was like destruction was pushing you in the direction that you're supposed to go. And that's what I keep thinking. That's what keeps coming into my mind, that all the noise and all the world being upended and everything that's happening on the news, it should kind of be a natural thing for people to go inwards and stay away from that and discover their own peace within themselves and find their other path
I
without
couldn't
telling
agree with
everyone,
you more.
without telling people, without saying, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, you have to work on this. It should be like a natural willingness.
Yes. Yes. And the problem is that there's so much chaos. People are drawn into drama. People
Yeah.
are drawn in because also our hearts are connected to this. And I will be honest, there are frequencies that are actually being instituted in certain parts of the world, specifically, Gaza, Israel, Russia, states. There are energies, frequencies that are actually being bombarded in these regions to create this turmoil.
Mhm.
And it's being created because it's something we believe in wholeheartedly, and we attach to humanity's suffering. We attach to things that are difficult because it's not right, it shouldn't be happening. There's far bigger things that are affecting this, but the intention is for us to get drawn in. The intention is for us to fight and create war and create violence, because that creates dissension among us, and it's the opposite of unity. And unity is the energetic that we are moving towards. Unity is what we are seeking and what we will have coming forward, because it's just a matter of time. But we are drawn to that drama. We are drawn to that. And it's actually positioned so we are pulled by our heartstrings, because humanity is good. When somebody is in turmoil, or if someone is hurt, we naturally have the want and ability to help and to want to step in, or at least feel an indignancy to be like, this isn't right, right and wrong. And really buying into that, playing into that, and feeding into that is not helping anybody, because it's just perpetuating that energetic, which is the intention. And what we really need to do is go internal and really honestly do the work on ourselves. And this is what I can't stress enough, because when we work on ourselves, that shifts the collective energetic, that shifts the consciousness on of the frequency of Gaia, of Earth on a whole. And not only that, we move through the world differently. The people in our life start taking notice. The people in our life start understanding, hey, what's going on there? There's a shift there. Oh, she's acting a bit different, or he's not engaging in that as much. And it's really what we're choosing to give our energy to. And our heartstrings are played against because we do care and we do want to help, and we do feel an uproar of feelings towards what's going on in the world. And that is intentional. And until we can step back and understand there is no room for violence in any way, shape, or form at all, it's just, we're not so far from that, but because the things that people are fighting for are freedoms and equality and the ability to just live your life in safety. And a lot of beings don't have that in our world right now. And the ones that do are sitting on their TVs, on their phones and watching this, and they are just not just as in it. I shouldn't minimize what they're going through, but they are giving energy and feeding into that, which was the intention. So we have to have compassion. We have to give in ways that we can. And sitting there with your heart connected to the beings that are being affected by this and sending them love and sending them higher frequencies of healing, that's how we can help them. Not watching the TVs, not buying into that, not getting caught up in the media, because that is perpetuating negative paradigms. And that's essentially where the chaos is coming, because we know this is wrong. We know this isn't what should be happening. It's not right. It's so far from what's not right. But yet, what do we do about it? How can we help? And what can we do where we feel we're affecting change? And really, doing your own self work is exactly how you will help the whole. And that sounds selfish and it sounds really against what we've been taught, but that's exactly what's required of us. And once you see and give that from your heart with true intention, you will see the shifts happening in yourself, in your life. But also, if we all were doing this, the wars would be done. Like the frequencies wouldn't even be able to handle that. It's like if we all came together in this, which is a process and it's happening, it would just cease to exist because it's just not part of our timeline anymore. And that's what we're working towards. And that's why the self work of this year, with the dragon burning everything away and then the serpent really connecting with self, because again, we were talking, and we always talk about balancing the masculine feminine, but that's precisely what the snake is. It really is a beautiful balance of the masculine feminine energy, which we can see reflected, in our, like I said, the caduceus with our, in represents our healing emblem in this world. And
Yeah.
there's a reason for that. So
Hmm. I'm not sure if you ever listened to an astrologist called Pam Gregory, do you?
yes, I
Yeah.
do. She's
But
great. I have her. I actually really love her.
she basically started kind of an international meditation, but nobody like gets online or anything. It's just you do it where you are. And it used to be on Sundays, and now it's like every day at 8 p.m., I think. 8 p.m. England time, the UK time. And over the course of the last year, people have been like tapping in, all over the world and kind of helping to lift the frequency. And people are coming back with comments of like, beams of light coming off the earth and just massive shifts in frequencies. And like they're tapping into, other beings and other energies and everything. And it seems like that's a massive monumentum that's really may help in making the big shift. So even that, like at 8 o'clock, for 15 minutes to tap into yourself and be a part of that meditation would be massive.
I couldn't agree with you more. And that's exactly the intention that we need. And it's shifting our mentality to be like, what am I going to do? I'm just one person, but this is it. You can affect change. And it's beautiful. And also a process of self. They're starting to see energies. They're starting to see how what they're giving out to the world is being received in a positive way. And it creates community. We're all in this together, fighting against what is trying to control us. So, and Kaya Ra actually has that too. I don't know if you know who Kaya Ra is, but she's the one who wrote the Sophia Codes.
Oh yeah, I
She's
have her book.
she's amazing. I highly recommend her. She's amazing. She has so many beautiful teachings. She works with the seven solar dragon goddesses, which I'm very connected to, which actually all of us are, but it's the time of the goddess. The snake is the time of the goddess, and it really is the time of going to your altar, sitting with your altar and doing the work with the four directions, actually the seven directions, yeah, north, west, east, south, as above, as below, and as within. And
Mm-hmm.
when we really sit with that and we sit at our altar and we just sit with our intentions and connect, that's the goddess work. That's how the goddess works. And it is the time of the goddess because we are balancing the masculine, feminine energetics. And most don't know this, but serpent energy was the original shaman energy on this earth. And the original energy of the shaman were female.
Mm-hmm.
And that again is a part of the patriarchal taking away
Yeah.
and like taking the teachings and distorting the teachings and recreating the narrative of history. The victor's always right history, which it's not accurate, but really
Yeah.
when you break that down, it's like again, it's beautiful and coming together in these practices. I love Pam Gregory. I think she's fantastic. Kaya Ra is amazing. There's a lot of beings that are creating this intentional meetup to create community, to affect change. And when we come together, it amplifies the power infinitely. because
Yeah.
one person doing the intention with the heart space open and connected, two people, three people, creates this grid of light, this grid of energetics that's all over the world. When we're activating that, we are genuinely healing Gaia, we are genuinely healing ourselves, and we're genuinely healing the collective, because there's a lot, like I said in the last one, we already are in the lower realm of 4D, which is all feelings and emotions, and the lower astral, which is fourth dimension, is all the shadows, which is why we're seeing everything shadow, shadow, shadow everywhere. But when we can control our emotions and control our feelings and understand how they're directing us, we can change that into a power. We can transmute that into pretty much fuel, light fuel, to activate dormant DNA and to activate, clarity, and decalcify our pineal gland, so we have a clear, true picture of where we're stepping next, where we're moving. And we don't have to have it all figured out, because chaos is just that. It's chaos, and really it's going to continue for that for a little while. So really, the anchoring of self, the connecting to community, the real heart intention of truly wanting to heal self and heal Gaia, you will. And you will
Hmm.
start to see those shifts. And there's more and more movements like this happening. And it's really beautiful to observe and be a part of, in all honesty.
How would you suggest decalcifying your pineal gland?
Frequencies.
Yeah.
Honestly, you need a healthy diet. You need a healthy diet. You have to feed your body healthy things. And I would say at this point, a detox first would probably have to happen. But you can detox energetically with frequencies, with sounds, even just sounding yourself. You don't even have to put anything on. Again, it's the year where we go inside. Start trusting yourself. Start creating a sound. Just sing, make a noise, move your body. It is the year of the serpent, which is all about movement and Kundalini energy. So move your body, get your feet in the bare soils, get back to nature and connect with earth. And there's so much to say on
Yeah.
this. I could talk about this all day, but I feel honestly it really is about connecting to the internal self. That's what the message of this year is. And I think really once people start doing that, they'll start trusting themselves more. They'll start trusting what they're seeing, and they'll start trusting the clarity. Because when I don't know how you were, but when I first started meditating, and I'm very much like in my head a lot, or I got a lot of thoughts, I got a lot of external things coming in. So I'm like, I'm doing it wrong. What am I going to have for lunch? Or that person said a comment that pissed me off. Or, it's just like, when you can settle the noise, when you can really take control of that, that's when everything starts becoming clear. And we don't see clearly if if our pineal gland is calcified. And that is not just through food, that is through what we feed ourselves on a whole. A lot of media. If I'm honest, I feel like media and the frequencies that, like the mind control, that's actually more calcifying than eating McDonald's or, eating terrible foods. But it all goes hand in hand. It'll all fall away, because we are so powerful. And I don't think people recognize this, but humans are galactic royalty. We truly are. There are no beings that have the DNA sequences that we are, because we've been not sliced and diced, but we've been carefully. Some beings took some liberties that they shouldn't have, but we can talk about that another time. But we have 22 forms of alien DNA in our DNA, because they've taken the best of certain elements and they've put it all together. And we are galactic royalty. We are the Earth experiment. And we have so many beings in not even just our universe, other universes that are observing and watching what we're doing, because it hasn't been done before. And many of us have been incarnating over and over to prepare for exactly the time that we are in currently. There's many star seeds and light workers, and the children being born now are they're just pure gold. They have more activated DNA strands. They just don't see the bullshit of the world that was, because they are coming in to see with clarity and to set a new foundation of working from a fifth dimensional frequency. And we have to work on our fourth dimension, because that's feelings and emotions, and that's what keeps us disconnected and not moving into the fifth. So I would say stop. Again, I always say about the media, I'm not telling everybody to get off their phones, but I'm telling everybody to get off their phones, at least be more measured in it. If you want any clarity on that, there's actually a thing in your phone that tells you how much screen time you have, and it's alarming when you actually activate it and you're like, oh wow, I got to be better here. Like, because we all go on there, and I'm really good. My friends and family know now, like I may take a couple days to get back to you because I just don't keep my phone around me. And when I need to
Mhm.
be working and present, yes, because I work online, I have to use my computer and my phone and be present and accessible. But at the time when I choose to be with self, that is away, that is on airplane mode, that is not near me and not affecting me. And I just feel so much better when I'm just in my own energy and not around that. And there's so many sounds. I'm all about frequency work, breath work, and really starting to learn to trust yourself and your own practices.
Yeah,
Dancing and singing and playing and just movement. Like, you don't need to go online and get a yoga program or get something. Just move your body. Do what
yeah,
you feel feels good. Shake it out. Like,
yeah,
act like an idiot, like no one's watching. And even if they are, who cares? They probably would be like, wow, I'm looking at this person and wow, they feel really confident in themselves. It gives other people confidence in themselves. And
yeah.
we just got to move. We are so intelligent, and we've been
Mhm.
told we're not, and we've been pushed all that down. And it's time to reclaim that knowing and that power. And it's time to just do what feels right. I mean, you just got to start. So not looking up a workout program and be like, I'm going to move my body this way today, or I'm going to do, we will naturally move our body in the ways that it needs to move stagnant energies and to clear things and to get our kundalini rising. And all of that is just preparation to receive frequencies and energies and connections with your guides and connections with what's going on around us, because humans are telepathic. We all have this ability. It is not something that can't be attained or learned. And we actually have the ability to code our own selves, to
Mhm.
heal our own body and heal our mind and our traumas and our frequencies. We can heal that with intention. And
Mhm.
it's just about learning to trust self in that process, not thinking, oh, I'm going to put a protection around me. I imagine a gold ball around me. Do you believe it's really there?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
or are you just going through the motions? Whether you can see it or not, do you believe it's there? Do you believe, if you truly are putting that and visualizing that? And it's that simple. That's all it is. It's that simple. I imagine this gold light coming around me. It's there. And it's the process of learning to trust that it's there. And once you start that process, you will start seeing that reflected in your life. Things will shift differently. People will react to you differently. You'll handle conflict differently. You won't be so frenzied, like we're shot. Our nervous systems are shot. Our adrenal glands are exhausted. Like, we're just in this constant fight, flight, freeze, fawn, whatever they call it now. We're
Mhm.
in this space of like, how do we react? What do we do? And if we can just let it be what it is and not react and not do anything, but just be like, how does this feel in self? Is this good? Is this not? And it's
So,
really just a process of self-trust, right?
yeah, and using our imagination. I'm all for the
Yeah.
imagination and just like creating exactly just little fairy tales in your mind of exactly how you want to feel, what you want to do, and what you want to get, because our imagination is so powerful. Well, at least mine is anyway.
Yeah, all of our imaginations are. It's just it's been pushed down. And
Yeah.
look at children. Like, children are the most beautiful representation of that. And they play with, like animals, and they talk to rocks, and they have imaginary friends, which I personally feel are guides, because children remember past lives and everything up until age 7, and then it starts dissipating because they're in school, they're being told to conform and forget their imagination. And we need that curiosity, we need that play, that's so important, and we need humor. It's so
Mhm.
serious, and I think people miss that a lot. We need to, it's okay to be ridiculous, it's okay to act silly and get on the ground and play and make snow angels and like just be fun, be a kid, because that imagination is it's your superpower. Really, it's your superpower in the ways that no one can tell you what's right or wrong. It's your own world. It's what
Mhm.
feels good and safe to you. And I do a lot of inner child work with myself and with my clients, and like, we have our little places. Where's your sanctuary? Where are we going to play today? And mine's personally a sunflower field. I love sunflowers. It just makes me happy. And I always, and it just brings this joy space out of me. And I'm like, I call my friends in and we play music, we're singing and dancing. And most of the time I'm naked because I just like to be free, but
Yeah.
you can create your space however you want. But yeah, imagination is key, Sarah. That's such a good point that you made because we really forget that as we age. And I'm a bit of I have Leo as my ascendant, so I always like to find the play and the fun and the curiosity,
Yeah.
and it dampens my Scorpio because I'm a Scorpio sun and an Aries moon. Aries, my feminine space is a warrior. So I
Mhm.
have to really intentionally find that play component. And sometimes it when you can just laugh and play and make a little joke when maybe you shouldn't, it just dissipates this intensity of energy and you're just like, what was I even arguing about? Or what is it really that important? It's
Yeah.
we create this whole narrative around like, oh, it should be this way and this and that. That's an adult thing to do. And we
Mhm.
need to get back to self and find that play. And imagination is the gateway to that, 100%. And a good place to start for adults, and we can kind of tie it into like protection.
Mhm.
How do you feel protected? It's like when you're calling in a protection, and we talked about this on the last podcast about making sure, when you get out of bed or put your protections up so you're not taking in your external, but what does that look like physically? Mine personally is it's like kind of like a gate of vines that come in front of me. And I'm like, that's my protection. And I'm like, I love vines and winding plants, but I'm like, that to me is like, okay, I feel protected behind this, but I can still see through it and I can still connect with nature and whatever wants to filter in will filter in, but I'm in control of that. And
Mhm.
that's just what came to me. And I was like, wow, I don't know where that came from, but trusting what comes to you, your visualizations, your imagination, go with it, run with it,
Yeah.
play with it. Find a
Yeah.
color, find a smell to it, create that so it's a visceral experience for you.
Yeah. I'm literally floating around in a violet bubble.
Yes,
And
because
there's
you're an
like lots,
angel. That makes perfect sense.
well, there are lots of little angels protecting everything, and everybody has their own role in everything or in my life. So they know what they're doing.
They do know what they're doing, and we just got to let them play and do. And, even fairy energy, like fairies sometimes get a bad rap, and, there's some reasons for that, but they're playful. They're
Yeah.
very playful. Like they're very much like, oh, I'm gonna take her keys because she's rushing out the door and I'm gonna hide them somewhere else. And it's just like it's that playful energy, which if you're in a rush, you're like, Brig, like, why is this happening? Da da da. But I'm like, they're just trying to get you to slow down and take a
Yeah.
look at your life and be like, do you really need to be rushing there? Do you really need to go there now? And it's just like, it's those little lessons that if we just stop and giggle to ourselves for a moment, be like, well, I bet those fairies are up to something. Like, it took me some while to understand they were. Also, I'm Irish, so like maybe that's not for everybody. Same with you.
Yeah,
So
no, you're bringing up something about fairies because a girl that I used to be friends with years and years ago, she brought out a book. Her name's Amy Shine, and it's Dancing with the Fairies because fairies are quite a thing in Ireland and Scotland.
yes, yes, very much. Yeah, I went to Ireland. I only had like 5 days, so I just went crazy all through Northern Ireland and like all to the Northern Gaelic regions. It's just amazing, very old primordial energy. And fairies were everywhere, fairies and rabbits. A lot of rabbit holes and like the rabbit, it's just that energy in Ireland is absolute magic. There's just nothing that I felt in anywhere else. I haven't been to Scotland yet, but that's the plan. But it's just you can feel the energy. There's this mystical element to it. And the fairies they're in the unseen realm, but they're so there and they're so ready and willing to help you. Be respectful. Be
Hmm.
respectful. They really care about being respectful and but they're there to teach through humor and fun and a little bit mischievous, which we could all use a little bit of that in our life, that little sparkle and that little, that little glint in your eye, like, okay, I see what you're doing there. And it's
Yeah.
really just to slow us down and to make us maybe change our perspective or stop rushing through light and just take a moment and have a little laugh.
Yeah.
Kids don't care about that. They're not worried about what time they're going to school or what time bed is. They're in, they're playing, they're exploring, they're drawing, they're like, and we need to create. That is the number one thing that we are here to do is to create. And anything that's in the way of us creating our jobs, all these things, if you're doing anything, if you're bored, that is your first indication that you are not doing what you should be doing. Because if you have a moment to be bored, you are giving energy to the wrong things. When we
Hmm.
have time and space, we should be playing and creating and all creating as much as when we are in our joy space, that is our highest form and our highest frequency. And that's what we're here to share with the world. And really, that's what we're here to monetize. Find your joy. And that is what you're meant to do. That's what you're meant to share with the world. It's very simple, but we get in our own way about it. So
And that could be a really good exchange for mobile time. For people who find it difficult to come off their phones, because it is an addiction that most people in the world have one way or another,
Hmm.
but to replace it with something creative would be a really good transition. Yeah.
Absolutely. And don't go, cold turkey because
Yeah.
it's not easy to sustain, Be like,
Yeah.
well, I'm watching 3 hours of TV today. Maybe I'll watch two tomorrow and then spend an hour doing so, or even half an hour, 20 minutes, or even just, I'm going to go do a little workout or I'm going to do a little wiggle and I'm going to put on some music and just dance. You don't even have to have an intention. And
Mhm.
so many things are unlocked. We heal that way. We heal by dancing. We heal by singing. We heal by expressing. And if you stop watching TV or you get off your phone, because I'm like, really, time is not linear and we can manipulate time and we understand that. And there's always enough time to get everything done. And when we're just doom scrolling, time just goes. When you're just like watching videos, you're like, what happened? It's been an hour and it feels like it's just, I only watch animal videos. But when you're in it, you can just get caught up, especially when you're on, Instagram or Facebook, and it's just like fires here and this catastrophe here and this person's controlling, and it's just like taking people's power, taking their freedom, hurting people, murders, wars. It's so easy because it's in your heart and you have a visceral reaction to it. What we should be doing is dancing and singing and giving to the world, being like, I'm not going to engage in that energetic. I'm going to create something else to transmute that energy, and that's what I'm going to give. I'm going to give that to the people who are honored by or affected by the fires, or the floods in Valencia, like we spoke of, and just
Mhm.
and we're going to keep seeing this more and more. And it's that shift of narrative, it's that shift of perspective that really just it shifts everything coming into your life, the opportunities, the people, the experiences, and more that you give energy to your creation, more and more you're not pulled into watching that stuff on your phone, or getting lost in conversations or engaging in arguments that have absolutely no purpose, and you're just giving your energy away, or giving too much energy to people who are just vampires and take and take and take and not honoring your own energy. It's all depletion. So
Yeah.
when we create, we fill ourselves, we nourish ourselves. And even though we could work out and dance for an hour and we're sweating and we're tired on a physical level, we are energized on an energy level, and our frequency raises and we purge, we heal that way, and we let go of things. And we are just generally happier people in the way that we move through the world. And again, that ripples out to everything.
Yeah, completely.
What do
Totally.
you do, Sarah, when you're like, I just need to like get it out, or like when you're in your imaginative space, like what does that look like for you?
I love nothing more than dancing around the house to like it depends on my mood. Sometimes I'm more into electronic music and my boyfriend creates that music when I'm high energied. So I'd like just rave all around my house like a proper rave. I love a little solo.
Yes. I love it.
But if it really depends on my energy, if I want to just kind of do some sort of kind of a blocked energy release, it would be kind of like a kundalini release thing. It depends really, but I do love a little solo rave. Definitely.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, I'm the same with you because it's mood, right? And that's also honoring. Because when I first was like, okay, I felt good doing that yesterday. And then I go back and try to do the same thing. I'm like, that's not how I feel today. That's
No,
not
yeah.
really, it's all about mood and just getting out of your own head, being like, okay, because we're a structured species, we're like, okay, this is what we're doing. And also the Piscean age, which we just left, is all about structure because Pisces lives in the stars. They're very like, they're a bit scattery. So they need the structured space. And also they're the ones of hierarchy. They look to a leader, they look to someone externally, and it's repetitive routine practices that keep them grounded. And
Mhm.
that's why we look to gurus and why we look to leaders and why we look to others externally to teach us. That's not the era that we're in now. It's self mastery and going inward and honoring self. So that doesn't have to look like anything. It can look crazy to you what does someone else is doing and vice versa. But again, there's no judgment here because there's never a wrong way when you're connected to self. And I remember meeting one of my best friends. Like I went to this ecstatic dance, which I don't know if everybody knows what that is. I actually ended up running those in Mexico for a few years. But it's an interpretive dance where it's a sober event where you show up and the DJ set is curated from start to finish, where it starts off really slow. You're just connected with your breath.
Mhm.
And it takes you on a whole journey and it crescendos. It's essentially almost like, as if you were taking a medicine ceremony and you were on a substance and it's like the high, the peak, the lesson, and then the drop down, but it's all through dance. And it's
Mhm.
all interpretive. You could be like, I ended up being, I was like dancing with a whale on the ground and I was just like moving my arms and like, that's how I met one of my best friends. And she was doing the same. And I'm like, hey, we're in this together. And, I was just like, no, everyone else kind of moved away. Like, we were a little more extra than most people, but yeah, it's a space where I actually
Mhm.
highly recommend ecstatic dance to anybody who has one around you because it's a very inclusive space. You can move and be free, and the DJs are absolutely magic because
Mhm.
they've curated very specifically the build, the crescendo, and for you to go on a journey with self. And there's no talking. It's all about your own self journey, and you can connect with someone else or not, but there's no talking. It's all silent and it's all your own journey, and there's no right or wrong. You can dance however you want, every form of dance. I was on the ground swimming like a whale, and it was received. And like, not only that, they're like, wow, like that's, you're really confident in yourself. And I'm like, I don't know. I just felt and did what I wanted to do. And that's the energy that we need to embody. It's just like, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to look cool. It doesn't have to look, like fitting into a box. It's just like, does it work for you? Does it
Yeah.
make you feel joy? Does it bring out this childlike energy? And is it healing?
Yeah.
So
Totally.
I love that.
I'd love that. I love the sound of that too. I'm gonna look for a live class, but if not, I'm sure they're on YouTube that you could just do it at
They
home.
are. They are because I when I went to move to Mexico, they didn't have that there. And my partner at the time, amazing DJ, we were both very heart-centered. He's also a dragon. And so we actually created a whole movement. It's a worldwide movement. But we created a movement there, and I would do my singing bowls. I would channel and do dragon and angelic realm frequency at the end to ground everybody in, and he would curate the set. And we started actually a lot of times with a cacao ceremony or just an intentional setting. We had an energy, like an intention for it. And then it's just you're just
Yeah.
dancing, you're singing. And there's tons of DJs everywhere, good DJs. Mose is really good. If any, that he's very well known, but Mose is really good. Mose, really, really well known. And he just takes you on this curated experience, a lot of jungle animal sounds, and it just takes you into a different space. And I highly recommend doing that at home. If you don't know where to start, that's a really beautiful way to start. I can actually list, I have some of ours recorded. I can send you and you can put it in the bottom of the notes, an ecstatic set that his name is Tam, my ex, but amazing being.
That would be
But
amazing.
yeah, we can put that in and just find the movement. They are in every major city. So wherever you are, check it out and go. It's very inclusive. You will never be turned away. Just it's a sober event, so don't come on substances. Main one being alcohol, but
Hmm.
it's a sober event and it's meant to take you and connect with your body and connect with your movement. And also it's beautiful because, you start out, you're a little bit weird, but everyone else doesn't care. They're doing their own thing, which gives you the freedom and the space to do that too. And then when you step outside, you call another friend in that it's this rippling domino effect out that it's just very inclusive and expressive. And that's the way we need to be. That's the world we need to be moving into with no
Yes,
barriers and lines confining us.
definitely. We need to play more, whatever it means. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
And have you tried any more other kind of dances to help yourself be more playful, or is it just ecstatic dance?
Ecstatic dance is good because you can do anything. Like I do belly dancing, like I do every form. Like I'll do like there's times where I'll be like just doing like Celtic dancing and like, like the river dancing. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. It's just that's the beautiful part. It's like you don't have to worry about looking like a weirdo. Like I am pretty much a weirdo and I've owned it at this point, but yeah, like anything, honestly. That's the beautiful part about ecstatic is you can act however you want, you can dance however you want. I'm very serpenty when I dance. My arms are very fluid. It's just
Hmm.
my energy. And I move a lot with my hips and my body. And I'm like, that moves. Like belly dancing is actually really good for you. Shaking your body out, really good for you. So anything that incorporates shaking or moving your body, and it also connects you with your masculine, feminine, a lot of
Yeah.
your feminine in the serpent, but how does
Yeah.
that express? And you can also scream and sound, and you're not allowed to talk, but you can sound. So you can
Yeah.
be like, ah, like you can rage. I've seen beautiful men just screaming their Amazon warrior cry and like and women just like like just amazing stuff. Like it's just whatever you want. There's no right or wrong way, and just go with however your body moves. I do a lot of serpent type movement and I move my hips a lot, and but then I get very bouncy sometimes. I do a lot of fancy footwork, and like I'm actually a pretty good dancer, so I like to kind of do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm way more out there than most people, I will say. Like, and I kind of create like a little circle around me where I take up a lot of space so people just back up.
Yeah.
But
Take
I
step out of
they're
my
like,
space.
yeah, like, oh, our arm's gonna come out. Yeah, it's like, and I'm very armsy. Like I use my arms very serpent-like. So I think I do kind of create this little vortex around me. But there's been moments where I was at ecstatic dance in Mexico and my feet are like on the bare floor, kicking up sand, like everyone would laugh at me because I would like sweat so much and I would dance so much that like the dirt on my feet would coat so much that my feet would look like elephant feet. Like I had layers of it and they had like just the lines. It just like I was one with the earth. And there's moments where I was not here. I was transcended to a different space. I was dancing with my ancestors. We were like dancing
Wow.
in the galaxies and the stars, or just grounded in the earth and the jungles with like, jaguars and monkeys, and you just go to another place if you allow yourself to do that, and there's no right
Wow.
or wrong. But there's definitely moments where people come up to me and I'm like, I just didn't see them. I was just whirling around in my own space, and whew, I can't tell you, to me that's one of the most healing things, like
Ever.
truly and
And you know
honestly.
what? That is just an amazing way for people who find it difficult to clear their minds and go inwards through meditation and mindfulness. Starting with ecstatic dance because you're moving, you're focusing on your breath. If any sounds come out, that's kind of occupying your mind space. So that'd be a really, really good idea to go inward for those.
Absolutely. And yeah, because you're on your own and you're like, oh, I feel like I want to like make a sound, or like you could do whatever you want. And it's just like, oh, that's accepted. That's okay. Especially when you're by yourself. I'm like, there's no one judging you. A lot of
Hmm.
people want to dance but don't because they're worried about what people think. And when you get outside of your head, it's great, actually. It's a perfect way to not have a guided meditation. It's a perfect way to take ownership over your own expression because there's no right or wrong. You can express however you want and put something on that moves you. It doesn't have to be, a curated jungle set. It could be whatever music that you want, whatever makes you feel alive, whatever brings that joy space out, whatever makes you want to move, just put it on. You don't have to think. That's what I love about music so much. And that's why I focus, a lot on healing frequencies in my tuning fork therapies, because it bypasses your mind. It
Yeah.
bypasses your thoughts, your imposed self limitations. It actually just gets you in your body and you feel. And you can't deny how you feel. There's not a person alive that's like, I don't feel good after I danced. Like, come on. You do, because you're connecting to self, you're moving, you're grounding into earth. Dancing is healing to Gaia,
Yeah.
it's healing to you, and it's nothing but a positive. And also it's exercise, so like you're getting your stuff out, you're getting your emotions out. If you're feeling like I'm feeling angry, put on a song you love, start dancing. It will be gone, I promise you that, by the end. And you may have some feelings about it, but the charge will be gone. You won't have that intense fire energy coming up inside you because it's transmuted, and
Yeah.
that's the energy of the snake.
Yes, music is the answer.
It is. It is. It really, honestly, more and more people are going to see that because sound and frequency are everything. It's what connects us to the infinite. It connects us to the heartbeat of Gaia. It connects us to everything. It's how the pyramids were made. It's how we levitate things. Every single thing is frequency, everything. And when we understand that and how that interplays, it activates dormant DNA. It clears our body. There's a frequency for everything: anxiety, depression, making money, better relationships, like connecting to self, empowerment. There's a frequency for everything. And when you start tapping into what that frequency is, you start balancing and aligning yourself to that. And you naturally connect to updated and activated grids that are on a higher frequency. So you're operating from a higher frequency. And that's what's happening all over the world, is like there's grids being activated, dormant grids within self, and also with our Merkabic field, which is our internal grid, our tree of life grid inside ourself.
Yeah.
And when we connect to those frequencies, we're activating old parts of self that we need to be whole and balanced beings.
Hmm. And you provide tuning fork therapy sessions online, do you?
Not generally, I can do remote, but It's more, yeah, tuning forks more in person. I can do remote tuning fork stuff. It's not as effective, but if over, you need more sessions, but it is effective. But I also highly recommend people getting their own, just like beginner tuning fork, even a chakra set, and just playing with the frequencies. You got a little pain in your body, put your tuning fork there and vibrate it out, and it's an amazing tool, amazing, amazing tool. But yeah, I love working with tuning fork therapy and I love working with my clients because it's beautiful. Like the actual sessions are so subtle that most people fall asleep and they're like, oh, this is so calming, which most people just need. But then it pulls your shit up over the next 3 days. All your emotions, all your stuff's coming up. So in the moment, it's very healing and soft, but it's not like this 1-2 punch where you're taken out. Like, sometimes after massage, it's like, okay, there's emotions coming up. How do I work with that? And then I stay with them over the next few days and we work through that. And it's so profound because you literally can't get in your own way of healing. Frequency
Yeah,
bypasses your own limitations. So
amazing.
beautiful work. Yeah,
That's so good. That sounds so beneficial and an alternative way to heal. Yes.
absolutely. Yeah. And everyone has this ability. I mean,
Yes.
everybody has this singing, sounding, creating your shakers. Shakers are really good for getting rid of like that. Like if there's just trauma or something, shakers are really, really good for like shaking it out of your experience too, and just finding the ways that resonate for you. Because music is one of our greatest healers,
Mm.
truly.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Lona. I love all of your wisdom as always.
Thank you, sister. It was a pleasure.
Yes, and can't wait for the next one.
Same.
Thank you all so much for your open ears and your open heart once again. I really appreciate it. Please feel free to share this episode with anyone you think might benefit because there's some really useful information and I can't wait to find an ecstatic dance on YouTube. I'm literally going to do that tomorrow. Maybe not now, but tomorrow when I find my own space, and I hope you do too. Please let me know. Let us know in the comments. We'd love to interact with you all. Find us on Instagram, send us an email, whatever you feel. If any of this resonates, this year is all about community. So the more we talk about things together, the more we feel connected, the more community we build. And that's just the objective for this year. So I wish you all a wonderful Chinese Lunar New Year, and I wish all of your wishes and your dreams and your manifestation powers come true stronger than ever before. Sending so much love. Take care.